This video was brought to you by Gamersgate.com. Download games anytime, anywhere. Skip it up and that up. The interwebs is reacting to the 2DS, and I think it's pretty funny and interesting to see what people have to say. It's amazing to me how many people don't get it. You know, it's amazing how many people were head over heels over the 3DS when I still think they made the wrong design decision with that. And with this, which I actually think is a smart, logical step, the 2DS is a very smart, logical step, people are like, oh my God, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, when it's actually the exact opposite of that. So let me read you some of these tweets, these twiddly diddly diddly deets that I got from IGN. I think they're pretty funny. Some of them make a lot of sense, and some of them go full retard. To give you a heads up, there's a pretty famous person on there that went full retard, and once you see who it is, you won't be surprised that he went full retard. But anyway, the first tweet from Ryan Reason. Will be ordering one for my 5-year-old son who is jealous of his older brother's 3DS XL, but not ready for a portable system with the hinge. Aha, the hinge, like I talked about in the previous video I made, is the Achilles heel of the DS and 3DS. That's why it is gone, and the 2DS looks like a very thin piece of cheese. Another interesting tweet from ROT Podcast. He wrote, at IGN, getting one, wanted a 3DS, but waiting for lower price. Ta-da! Another smart move by Nintendo. They made it a hell of a lot cheaper. Didn't really care for 3D, like me. My son loves his 3DS. I just want to play the games, like me. That's why I'll be getting one. And I didn't like the 3DS for other reasons, the XL I mean, because you had to have like your ear pressed against the speaker to hear it. I tried a couple other ones and they were like that too, so it's an inherent flaw with the 3DS, I found out. Rick, this guy on Twitter, Nintendo 2DS, I'd buy this one too, because he didn't use 2 properly, he used TO, not 2 O's at the end. I'd buy this one too, because I'm a Nintendo fanboy. Well, that's a retarded reason to waste your money, but okay, if you want to buy it just because it's made by Nintendo, then go ahead. I'm going to be soon selling Nintendo nipple tassels, and if you want to buy them from me, I'd be more than glad to take your money. Aldrin, another Twitter user. Good idea, bad design. I don't agree. For a handheld, Nintendo has announced the 2DS handheld. He has a link here to the IGN article. It's not a bad design. You don't get it. They don't want to make it a clamshell. That, especially if they're trying to market this for kids, it's the worst thing they could have done. That clamshell design is very fragile. Doesn't work with kids. Like I said in my other video, my brother who took care of his DS and 3DS, the hinges started to come loose on it. You know, the hinges, clamshell designs, and kids don't mix. Cyber Duck Dong. Okay. At IGN, I actually like this. Good job. And this guy here, Steven, wrote to IGN, Nintendo is trying too hard. Why can't people know that you have, when you're using 2 in certain cases with English grammar, there needs to be 2 O's. Nintendo is trying too hard to back into the top. English, buddy, learn it. They need to stop and rethink their strategies in game consoles. Strategies I can agree with, but no, this one was a good design, man. I am so very shocked that people aren't seeing this. I really think that people are just the knee-jerk reaction when they first saw it and they didn't think any deeper than that, I think is what's going on. Tommy Holloway, Twitter user, decent idea, poor design, looks way too uncomfortable. I guess you're a psychic, Tommy Holloway, because you haven't held it yet. At first, it looks like it might be uncomfortable, but then I saw people using it in the Nintendo commercial, like I said in the previous video, and they didn't look like they were struggling, man. It looks like the ergonomics are going to be there. We have to wait and see, you know, but the design, I get, again, why they did it. Hinges and children don't mix. I'm going to repeat that probably 1,000 more times in this video, because I need to drill it home, because people aren't getting it. Nintendo Nicaragua, IGN, 2DS, perfect for kids. Great Christmas gift. Agreed. And our buddy, Cliff, I can't shut the hell up, Lizinski. Here's what he wrote. He's the famous guy I was talking about, by the way. But another one, He's a smart guy. I just think he says stuff to get attention. I hope he does, because then he's maybe just book smart and then he needs to pay a butler to tie his shoes. I already have a 2DS. This is what he wrote. It's called Slider Turned Down to Off because the novelty wore off. Nintendo, you crazy. Yeah, you're another one. You knee-jerk, Cliff, really? You didn't think about it? You didn't think it would be cheaper to not have to make another 3DS without the 3D technology? You didn't think it would be more durable without a hinge? Do you think before you talk, or do you know you just push out your ideas like a fart and then deal with the smell later? Anyway, Ryan Wyatt on Twitter. The Nintendo 2DS looks incredibly stupid, and I will buy it anyway. I hate myself. Well, you're also an idiot. If you don't like it, then don't buy it then. And the last one I'll read from these tweets. I'm not going to go through every damn tweet, just because I wanted to give you the point of what people were saying. And Gary Wida, or Wida, he wrote on Twitter, "It's easy to make jokes about the 2DS, but it's very smart. While we all crack wise, Nintendo will make a fortune with this thing. Not the first time." Hey, you know what? I said the 3D. I still think the 3DS XL is a disaster. Still think they should have put the second analog stick on. I think they missed the boat with that. I've explained 1,000 times why, and people still don't get it. But it sold very well. Matter of fact, I think it sells much better than the original 3DS. So, hey, yeah, and this is logical. The 2DS actually makes sense, whereas the 3DS XL didn't. So this thing is probably going to fly off the shelves. It's not a Game Boy. Everyone who says a Game Boy Micro, the Game Boy Micro came out at the tail end of the Game Boy Advance's life, and the DS, I think, may have already even been out, or it was right around the corner. It was right there. So it was two totally different platforms. So if you bought a Game Boy Micro, you couldn't play DS games on it, and people knew it was at the Game Boy Advance platform was at the twilight of its life. It was totally different than this is going to run the 3DS games. It's going to do everything the 3DS does, except you can't fold it. Here's my artificial tear here, and it's not going to have the 3D screen. And it's not going to have stereo speakers. But to be honest, it's like I just said, the speakers sucked on the original 3DS, and they suck worse on the 3DS XL. Put headphones on. It's not that big a deal. It's the same. You could play the same games. It's not the same thing as when the Game Boy Micro came out. Come on, son. Use your brains. Look, the bottom line is this. If you actually really thought out the 2DS and you still hate it, okay, I'm cool with you. That's fine. But I could tell there's a lot of people out there who just wanted to talk about the 2DS right away to either get views or whatever, or they're just talking negative about Nintendo to get views, or they just didn't really think it through. Their initial reaction is what they're going with, and just think about it. I think Nintendo made plenty of smart moves with the 2DS, and you guys know damn well. Go look at my 3DS XL is a disaster video and see how many likes that got, if it still has any. I'll tell it like it is, man, but I think the 2DS is a very smart move, and I think if some people who hate it now really thought it through like I did, because like I said, when I first saw it, my first reaction was negative about it, you'll realize why Nintendo did what it did. And I think the 2DS will be successful. Anyway, folks, make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for supporting Review Tech USA. And yes, you're going to hear my dogs barking because UPS showed up at the door. Have a good one.